Hey everybody, it's Manga Monday, so naturally we're going to talk about Vikings. Hey everybody, like I said, it's Manga Monday, and yes, we are going to be talking about Vikings because today's Manga Monday is all about Vinland Saga Volume 1. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it even better. This is available on Comixology. So in a way, this is sort of a cross video Manga Monday cross. It came from Comixology. So this is put out by, I believe it's Kodansha puts this one out. It is available if you happen to have a Comixology Unlimited subscription. It is available on Comixology Unlimited. I believe the first like 3 volumes are all available on Comixology Unlimited. So you can check them out. I read this entire thing in like 2 days. Book 1, which is this one, is about 450 pages or something like that. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. And I already started book 2. So that should just go to tell you right there that I actually absolutely love this thing. But let's get into it. So Vinland Saga is, like I said, it is a Viking story. And basically what it is it's this epic Viking story. For clarification, just so you guys know, you cannot read this in guided view. So if you like to read Comixology on your phone, and kind of like guided view is kind of the only way to read on a phone, unless you're doing a lot of pinching and zooming and stuff. It does not allow that. It's a separate thing where certain things don't allow it, and for whatever reason this does not, which is fine if you're reading like me on a tablet. It's fine. Or if you're reading on the website, you could do that too, like on a laptop or something. So anyway, you have this is like right here on the table of contents. You can see it's huge. The book it's over 450 pages long. And there's a ton of story in here. It's really good stuff. So first off, I mean, just right away, you can see just this first page with this crowd scene of this fortress being raided, like just absolutely nuts. Like the detail and the art is just insane. But on top of all that, like these incredible battle scenes and everything else, but on top of all of that, there is some truly interesting characters, and that's what makes the story so great. Essentially what happens is we start off with there's this Viking raid, and they're in basically in France, or what will become France, and there's a raid going on between like a couple of different Frankish factions, and there's a group of Vikings who are watching this happen, and they decide to offer their assistance to the team that's to the army that's raiding the fortress. And so they send Thorfinn, who is pretty young. The leader of the Viking group, his name is Askeladd. He sends Thorfinn to go deliver a message that they're going to help with the raid. They will help with the raid. Otherwise, they're just going to go join the defending team, the defending side. So he sends him, but he basically says, Thorfinn actually says to Askeladd, like, I don't want to, I want a reward. And he's like, oh, you'll get 3 gold coins. He's like, who wants that? I don't want that. He's like, you know what I want. There is some language in this for anyone who's concerned about that kind of thing. It's obviously violent. It's Vikings and lots of battles and stuff. So it does have a lot of violence, and there's definitely some language in there too. So he's like, you know what I want. And he's like, well, if you want that, you're going to have to bring me the head of a commander at least. So he sends him to deliver the message. He delivers the message. Um, they agree. So then he sends a signal, and so then at dawn they attack, and it's really cool. Again, it gives you this feeling of like you see these guys here, they see a dragon head because it's the Vikings carrying their boats over the mountain, and so they think it's actually an actual dragon on the mountain. Um, just to remind you of like what you're dealing with. Now we get most of the characters look fairly realistic except for this guy. Um, and then we get back to the battle, and then eventually the Vikings make their way in, and Thorfinn makes his way. You can see, like, first of all, like, just the art is absolutely outstanding. Like, you look at the art in this book, it's really, really great. Like, it had to take forever to do some of these pages and some of these panels. This one, excuse me, this one down at the bottom on the left, when Thorfinn is leaping over the moat, and you see like there's a guy falling from the bridge, there's arrows flying back and forth. Just super dynamic, really good stuff. And what's really interesting is he gets in, he actually gets the head of the commander, he brings it back. You know, I don't want to go too deep into I'm not trying to just recount the story here. But there is a lot of story to be had here. But what happens is, what's interesting is we get this whole setup, and we realize that the thing that Thorfinn is asking for from Askeladd for his reward is a duel. He wants to kill Askeladd, but he wants to kill him in a duel. And he says it's because Askeladd killed his father. Then we flash back to Thorfinn as a child, I mean, he's still kind of a child, but as a young child. And we go back to his village, and we're introduced to his family, to his father, his sister, his mom. Like, we get to know a lot of his family. And it's interesting because we spend most of book one at that point back in getting to know his family and, you know, his people. You know, so we actually end up getting to know them. And you know, we see more. I mean, like we see, but we spend, like I said, we spend a lot of there's a lot of pages here. So like, I'm trying to like go through to get ahead to just show you like his father Thor's, who is like an absolute. Oh, here we go. All right. His father, it turns out, you know, his father and his family and him, they're all living in like they live in basically a small encampment in Iceland. And Leif Erikson is there. And he's like an old man, and he's just like a storyteller, and the kids kind of believe what his story is, but they kind of don't too. But then he tells them that at one point, that the people who are living in their village there actually fled from where they were from, and they moved to Iceland to get away. You know, to get away from the king and everything else. And so they're kind of like living in isolation, sort of, in this small little town. It's like a farming village. They, you know, they do their thing. They, you know, they trade. They do that. Like, you know, there's another village nearby. There's like also run by another guy who's not the nicest guy in the world, but they get along fine. Like, they don't have too many problems. It turns out that apparently there is more to his father Thor's than he knew. We find out things about his father and about his father's past. And it turns out his father is like this absolutely like badass, crazy warrior, who has some insane battles. And this is the funny thing about this book. Like, it's all very grounded in reality for the most part through most of the book until you get to the flashbacks, and even then, it mostly is still grounded in reality. Like the young men of the village, when they're forced to fight, he's like, you're gonna get killed, like, but Thor's, when he fights, is like a freaking Terminator. And then when him and Askeladd have a duel, and when they duel, it's like something out of Dragon Ball, like the way they go at it. There's no superpowers per se, they're just exceptional fighters. And there's things like that happen throughout the story, but it's fun, and it makes sense because it just kind of builds the legend of these Vikings and how powerful they are and everything else. And there's just a lot of really good, like, the characters are really well developed. You get to care for them. You care for the family. You really get to know Thor's, and you feel for him and you care for him, so that when eventually the hammer is dropped, which is coming because they reveal it to you right at the beginning, he's going to die. But when it happens, you're really upset by it. Like, and you're generally like, you're genuinely made angry, and it's really well done. It's just it's fantastic fiction is what it is. It's great writing and absolutely spectacular artwork. I can't tell you how many panels, like how many pages I'll just stop and just, I'll read and I'll be done reading, but I'll be looking at the art, just at all the little detail and the intricacy and everything. It is clearly a labor of love. And then the author, it's funny, actually, at the end of book 1, the author talks about how he and his wife actually took a trip to Iceland for research. Like, they spent a few days there. They missed the Aurora Borealis. He does a funny little thing at the end where he writes like a little comic strip about his trip to Iceland. And but he talks about, like, clearly this was like a labor of love. This was something this man wanted to do and really wanted to make well, and just really did. Honestly, made a fantastic thing. And I've heard of it before, but I never read it. So you may have heard of it, but not read it. That was how I was. I had heard the title, but never really paid it much attention, I guess, for some reason. But man, is it good. Oh my gosh, it is so freaking good. So 100% guarantee I recommend this book. Like, it is really, really good. And like I said, if you have Comixology Unlimited, it's one of the books that's on Unlimited. In fact, like I said, I think the first 3 or 4 books in the series are available on Unlimited. So you can read all of those without paying anything extra for it. And if you did buy it, if you don't have Unlimited, the price was reasonable. I remember looking at the price. It really was not an unreasonable price for as many pages of content as you're getting. It's just that whole, do you want to pay for a file kind of thing, and I get it if you don't want to, but you could try and track down the physical copies. So anyway, if this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider giving a thumbs up. Even if it's not your first time here, please consider giving a thumbs up, sharing the video, talking to your friends, tell all your pets about us. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. You can follow me at jam_creates on Twitter. You can also follow me at jam_creates on Instagram. And definitely don't forget to go to indiecomics.underground.com. That is my zine for indie and crowdfunded comics. There's all kinds of interviews and artwork and previews and all sorts of cool stuff in there. And it's absolutely free. Just go to indiecomics.underground.com. You sign up. When you sign up, you get early access to every issue before the rest of the internet gets it. And then while you're there, you can also go and check out all the previous issues. All right. So absolutely 100%. I recommend Vinland Saga wholeheartedly. It's really, really good. And I plan on continuing to read it. Like I said, I already jumped into book 2 and I'm already rolling through that. It's really good. So absolutely check it out. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace out.